Morning, everyone. Uh, been getting a lot of questions lately about Roth conversions, whether or not they're right for me as a client. So I thought I'd share a little bit today about how you can make that decision. My name is Josh Curtis. My company, EQB Strategy, we help folks and companies reduce tax drag and multiply their legacy impact. So Roth IRAs, a great way to turn retirement assets into future tax-free income. Since the money inside a Roth's already been taxed, you don't have to pay taxes on qualified distributions. And so you also don't have to take required minimum distributions. Roth IRA is arguably one of the best financial tools that exists. It's after-tax money. You're never taxed on the growth in the gain. You're never taxed when you pull it out. So good that the government says only certain people can have them. Now, there are ways to get around the income limitations through things like a backdoor Roth. Certain companies have what's called a mega backdoor Roth, but that's for a later episode. So when markets experience a downturn or a volatile year like we've had and a portfolio loses value, there's some opportunity within that to think about a Roth conversion to minimize the tax you might otherwise pay on a qualified conversion. So that potentially can help us leverage a downturn to your advantage. There is, however, a lot of fine print that comes along with that conversion. They're not right for everyone at certain points in their life. So when could a Roth conversion be a good idea? When you think you'll be in a higher tax bracket in retirement, number one, whether because of higher income or moving to a higher tax state. Number two, if the retirement account has lost value, we can offset some of those taxes that you might owe by using a conversion. And then three, when you have some money outside the account to pay the tax at the time of the conversion. So when could the conversion be a bad idea? When you expect to be in a lower tax bracket in retirement. If you're in a higher tax bracket now, you'll be paying taxes at a higher rate on the conversion than you would when the money's coming out later. Number two, when you don't have some sort of cash on hand to pay the taxes that you'll owe at the time of conversion. And number three, when you expect you might need the money in the Roth sooner rather than later, there is a stipulation that if you withdraw from a Roth within 5 years of the input of the conversion, you might owe some penalties on those dollars. So that's a couple ways to think about where it might be a good idea, where it might not be such a good idea. But given the way that taxes are structured and the tax environment we find ourselves in today, which historically speaking is quite a low tax environment from an income standpoint and corporate standpoint, it's not a bad idea to, at the very least, consider some Roth conversions over the next year before we start to see the tax laws change. Bottom line, they're a great tax planning tool, a great retirement planning tool. Roths have a fairly attractive wealth transference application, even with the lack of the stretch IRA or the loss of the stretch IRA in the most recent. Even if you have to liquidate that or heirs do within 10 years, it's still not taxed to those heirs. So the details of the personal situation matter a lot. Under the current rules, conversions are permanent. Used to be a take-back where you could undo it. That no longer exists either. So bottom line, make sure it's good for your personal situation. But with the current tax laws, a lot of folks and clients are finding it quite advantageous. If you think it might be good for you, leave some comments, shoot us an email, whatever it might be. No obligations. Happy to have a conversation and just help you figure out, is that something that you and your advisor should think about. That's all for today. More to come. Take care.